Stop. Before you scroll past this, before you tell yourself you're fine, I need you to hear something nobody else is going to say to you today. What you're feeling right now, that quiet heaviness sitting on your chest like a hand you can't see, that's not anxiety, that's not age, that's God pressing the brakes. If today feels heavier but not louder, this message was written for you. If your spirit feels strangely alert, but your mouth doesn't want to explain a single thing to a single soul, stay with me. If something deep inside you is pulling back, going quiet, asking for stillness in a world that won't stop moving, do not ignore that. Because here's the truth that will shake you if you let it. March 30th, 2026 is not just another Sunday. It's not a date on a calendar. It's not a public catastrophe. Nobody's going to interrupt the news to announce what's happening. But something private is moving through the lives of God's chosen ones today. Something holy, something urgent, something that looks exactly like a feeling you can't explain, because heaven rarely announces itself with noise. It whispers first. And right now, heaven's hand is resting gently on your shoulder, saying, not yet, not that way, not today. By the end of this message, you'll understand why your emotions feel different today. Why things that normally don't bother you suddenly feel like they weigh 1,000 pounds. Why the people and plans that once pulled you forward now feel strangely distant. There are 3 things many chosen ones will be tempted to do today that could delay everything God is carefully forming in their lives. And near the end, I'll tell you the one mistake that turns a gentle warning into a much harder season. Don't make that mistake. If this message is already reading your spirit type right now, I will pay attention. Because this is not a day to force your way through. This is a day to notice what heaven is trying to keep you from doing blind. Let me say something to you that your doctor won't say, that your children won't say, that even your closest friend probably doesn't have the words to say. What you're feeling today is not a breakdown. It is a breakthrough, trying to get your attention. And before you dismiss that, before that voice in your head says, I'm just tired, or maybe something's wrong with me, I need you to stay right here, because what I'm about to tell you changes everything. You are not overreacting. You are not spiritually weak. You are not depressed without cause. You are not losing your edge. Your spirit may simply be noticing what your mind hasn't caught up with yet. And there is a world of difference between those 2 things. Here's what anxiety does. Anxiety scatters. It rushes you. It throws 10 problems at you before breakfast and demands you solve all of them before noon. Anxiety pushes you outward into worry, into noise, into urgency that has no real direction. It is frantic, it is loud, and it leaves you exhausted without having moved an inch toward anything that actually matters. But what many chosen ones are feeling today, it moves in the opposite direction. It slows you down. It pulls you inward. It sharpens your perception like a blade being drawn slowly across stone. It makes shallow conversation feel unbearable. It makes pretending feel physically impossible. It makes noise, even good noise, feel like an intrusion on something sacred trying to form inside you. That is not anxiety, dear one. That is a divine alarm, and God set it specifically for you. Today, the prophet Elijah felt it in 1 Kings 19. He sat under a juniper tree, worn down to the bone, and said, "It is enough." And what did heaven send? Not a lecture, not a crowd, not noise. Heaven sent stillness, an angel, bread, water, and a whisper. Not wind, not earthquake, not fire. A still, small voice. God has always spoken loudest in the quiet. And if everything in you is suddenly craving that quiet that is not weakness, that is your spiritual antenna turning toward the frequency of heaven. Now, let me ask you something direct. And I need you to sit with this question, not just hear it. When was the last time you felt completely at peace with where your life is heading? Not performing peace, not pretending, Not telling yourself I should be grateful while something underneath is screaming that something feels off. Because here's what I've learned in 50 years of walking with God's people through their darkest and most sacred seasons. The body always knows first. Before the mind can form the sentence, the body is already speaking. That heaviness in your chest this morning, that's not random. That low tolerance you've had for conversations that used to feel fine, that's not irritability. That sudden disinterest in plans you were excited about last week, that is not depression. That is your soul releasing what no longer belongs on the road ahead. Think of an airplane, 30,000 feet in the air, invisible to you. The navigation system is making constant micro-corrections. You don't feel most of them, but occasionally, before a patch of turbulence, the system pulls, adjusts, redirects. And for a moment, the cabin feels different. Pressure shifts, something changes in the air. That's what March 30th feels like for chosen ones today. Your internal navigation system is correcting course, and the correction feels like disruption because you've been flying in the wrong direction long enough that straight now feels like a turn. A piano tuner doesn't replace the piano when it's out of tune. He tightens, he listens, he adjusts string by string until the instrument sounds the way it was designed to sound. And during that process, it sounds worse before it sounds better. Notes clash. Tension increases. The musician steps back. God is retuning you right now. And the dissonance you feel today is not failure. It is the sound of strings being brought back to their original pitch. Proverbs 20:5 says it plainly. The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, not surface water, not shallow water you can see right through. Deep water, the kind that takes time to understand, the kind that requires you to go still before it reveals what's beneath. And what this warning is pulling you away from is more serious than most people realize. Because sometimes what feels like emotional distance is actually your soul releasing an old timeline. And if you don't pause long enough to recognize that, you'll mistake the release for loss. You'll fight to hold on to something God has already asked you to set down. And that fight will cost you months, sometimes years. So, let me speak to the part of you that is quietly terrified that something is wrong with you. Nothing is wrong with you. You are not falling apart. You may be coming back into alignment after being stretched too far away from yourself. And that return, that sacred, necessary return, it doesn't always feel like relief at first. Sometimes it feels like grief, like silence, like standing at the edge of something you can't yet name. But chosen one, that edge has a name. It's called the threshold of what God is about to do next. And what heaven is forming on the other side of this moment is greater than anything the noise was ever offering you. The question is, will you be still long enough to receive it? Let me ask you something. Nobody around you has had the courage to ask. When was the last time something that used to matter deeply to you truly lit you up from the inside, and now when you reach for that feeling, there's nothing there? Not anger, not resentment, not even sadness, just silence. Just a quiet, hollow distance where passion used to live. Chosen one, I need you to hear this clearly, because the world will tell you that's depression. Your family might call it aging. Your doctor might call it fatigue. But God is calling it something else entirely. He's calling it preparation. Because what you are feeling right now is not the end of your fire. It is the withdrawal of your fire from places it was never meant to burn forever. There is a word in Ecclesiastes 3 that most people read too fast. Solomon writes, "To everything there is a season, not a lifetime, not a permanent assignment, a season. And some seasons chosen one end not with a storm. They end with a slow, quiet fading, like a candle that burns lower and lower until one morning you wake up and realize the room has been dark for a while. And somehow, you're not even afraid of the dark anymore. That's not depression. That's timeline disengagement. And it's one of the most misunderstood movements of the Holy Spirit in a believer's life. Think about what may be losing its emotional charge in you right now. Those old goals you chased for decades, the ones built around proving something to someone who may not even be watching anymore. That relationship where you keep showing up, keep explaining yourself, keep shrinking yourself down to fit into a space your spirit has clearly outgrown. Those habits of justifying your decisions to people who never asked to understand you in the first place. That role you've been playing in your family, the strong one, the fixer, the one who holds it all together while quietly falling apart in private. Ask yourself honestly, does any of that still feel like you? Or does it feel like a coat you've been wearing so long you forgot it was never your size? Because here's what the enemy will not tell you, and what well-meaning people around you cannot see. You didn't lose your passion. God drained it. Intentionally, surgically, the way a wise surgeon removes what's infected before new tissue can grow. In John 15:2, Jesus says something that should stop you cold. He says, "The Father cuts off every branch that bears no fruit, not with cruelty, with precision, with purpose, with the long view of a God who sees what you cannot see yet." What God is cutting from your life right now may look like loss. It may feel like loss. But chosen one, a branch that's been cut, is not a branch that's been abandoned. It is a branch being redirected. And here is where I must warn you, because this is where many chosen ones make the most costly mistake of this entire season. When the old thing loses its life, when the old goal goes cold, when the old relationship feels hollow, the first instinct of a tired soul is to go back, to reconnect, to revive, to pour more energy into what once felt meaningful, simply because the familiar feels safer than the unknown. You know what that looks like? It looks like returning to an old house you can no longer breathe inside, and opening every window, rearranging every piece of furniture, repainting every wall, trying to make yourself feel at home in a place your soul has already vacated. You can redecorate an old house all you want, but chosen one, you cannot make your spirit comfortable where it has already spiritually departed. Leaves don't fall from trees because something went wrong. They fall because the tree is preparing, because the season demands it, because new growth is impossible without first releasing what was. The snake does not mourn the skin it sheds. It moves, it breathes, it lives larger in the skin that actually fits. In a few minutes, I'm going to show you why today may feel isolating, and why that isolation is not punishment. Why the silence around you right now may be the most sacred gift God has placed in this specific season of your life. And there is one specific identity many chosen ones are shedding right now, quietly, without fanfare, without even fully realizing it's happening. That is the key to understanding everything you've been feeling since you woke up this morning. But before we get there, I need you to pause right now, just for a moment. And I need you to be honest with yourself in a way that requires real courage. What feels heavy today that used to feel meaningful? Not what should feel meaningful. Not what you've been telling others still matters. What actually, honestly, in the quiet of your own chest, feels like it's asking more from you than it's giving back? Put one word in the comments, just one word, because naming it is the first act of release, and release, chosen one, is where your next chapter begins. If you have to force yourself to feel attached to it, your soul may already be gone, and that is not a tragedy. That is God's hand, moving quietly, faithfully clearing the ground for something you haven't seen yet, but were always meant to carry. Can I tell you something that nobody in your life is probably going to give you permission to do today? Step back, go quiet, close the door, not because something is wrong with you, not because you're weak, not because you're giving up on anybody or anything, but because God is doing something inside you right now that requires the room to be still. And beloved, not everyone gets to be in that room today. Here's what I know about you. You have spent decades showing up, decades of answering the phone, solving the problem, holding the family together, being the strong one, being the available one, being the one who never made anybody feel like a burden. You have given more than most people will ever know. And today, when your spirit is pulling inward, when something holy is quietly rearranging the furniture of your soul, your first instinct is to feel guilty about it. I need you to stop that right now, because what you're calling withdrawal, heaven calls it wisdom. What you're calling avoidance, God calls it alignment. What you're labeling as antisocial, strange, or selfish, Scripture calls it exactly what Elijah needed after the fire, exactly what Jesus practiced before every major moment, exactly what David understood when he wrote in Psalm 46:10, "Be still and know that I am God." Not be busy, not be productive, not be available. Be still. That word still in Hebrew, rapha, it literally means to let go, to release your grip, to stop straining. God isn't asking you to be passive today. He's asking you to stop forcing what only He can finish. Now let me show you what happens when you don't. When you stay plugged into the noise on a day like today, when you keep answering every text, every question, every demand, you are doing something you may not realize. You are leaking. Every conversation that doesn't belong to this moment pulls energy away from what God is trying to seal inside you. Every explanation you give when your spirit didn't want to speak costs you something you cannot afford to lose today. External noise doesn't just distract you, it distorts you. It pulls you back into performance. It makes you act like the old version of yourself, the one who needed approval to feel valid, the one who needed to explain every decision, the one who couldn't sit in the presence of God without feeling like they were supposed to be doing something else. And here's what breaks my heart about that. You already know what's true. Deep down, beneath all the noise, beneath the obligations and the expectations and the decades of conditioning, you already know. But when you let the world stay loud, that knowing gets crowded out, and then you make decisions from noise instead of from truth. Even loving people can feel like too much today. That's not a sin, that's a signal. Think of a seed underground. It doesn't need commentary, it doesn't need an audience. It doesn't need someone standing over the soil asking, "Are you growing yet? What's happening down there? Why is it taking so long?" The seed needs darkness, it needs pressure. It needs the kind of holy quiet that most people mistake for nothing happening. But everything is happening. That is you today, chosen one. You are not dormant, you are not depressed, you are not falling behind. You are in the underground place where God does His most serious, most sacred, most irreversible work. Think of a hospital recovery room. They limit visitors for a reason, not because the patient doesn't love people, not because connection isn't valuable, but because healing requires an environment that noise cannot enter. Some recoveries happen in the quiet. Some transformations need limited visitors. Your soul is in that room today. And I want you to hear this with everything in you. You do not owe anyone an explanation for that. You don't have to justify the silence. You don't have to perform recovery for people who expect you to already be well. You don't have to pretend the door is open when God has clearly shut it for a reason. Ecclesiastes 3:7 says there is a time to be silent and a time to speak. Today is your time to be silent. Honor it like it's sacred, because it is. The reason this silence feels so unusual, so heavy, so unlike ordinary quietness is because it is not just about your emotions today. It is about your identity. Something in you is shifting at a level deeper than feelings, deeper than circumstances, deeper than anything this week has shown you on the surface. And the next part of this message is where many of you will finally begin to understand who you are no longer willing to be. That's not a small thing. That's the kind of internal revolution that changes how you walk into every room for the rest of your life. But it can only be heard in the quiet. So if you know deep in your bones that you need stillness today, I want you to say it out loud right now. Say, "I give myself permission to step back." Say it like you mean it. Because you do. Not every day is built for public strength. Some days are sacred appointments for private alignment. And what God is aligning in you today, you will thank Him for it for years to come. Let me ask you something nobody has asked you in a long time. When was the last time you did something not because someone needed you to, but simply because you needed it? When was the last time you said no and didn't spend the next 3 hours explaining yourself in your head? When was the last time you existed in a room without managing everyone else's comfort? Because here's what I've noticed about God's chosen ones, especially the ones who've been faithful the longest, who've carried the most, who've shown up the most consistently for everybody around them. They are often the most invisible people in their own lives. And today, March 30th, heaven is addressing that directly. Not gently, not casually, with precision. Because what you're feeling right now isn't just emotional fatigue. It isn't just a difficult season. What is happening beneath the surface of your life today is something far deeper, far more sacred, and far more permanent than you've been willing to admit. A version of you is dying, and I need you to sit with that for a moment instead of running from it. Because the version that's leaving wasn't your truest self. It was the self you built to survive, the self you constructed so others would stay, so love wouldn't leave, so you would never again feel like a burden. Let me name who that version was. That was the one who over-explained every decision, not because people asked, but because you were afraid that if they didn't understand you, they would leave you. That was the one who overgave not out of pure generosity, but out of a quiet terror that your value would expire the moment you stopped being useful. That was the one who stayed available around the clock, not because you had unlimited energy, but because somewhere deep inside you confused being needed with being loved. That was the one who carried everybody. The one who held every family crisis, every friend's breakdown, every emergency, and then went home and cried alone where nobody could see the cost. That was the one who disappeared, completely, in the process of making sure everyone else was okay. Galatians 6:5 says plainly, "Each one shall carry his own load." Not everyone else's load. Not the load of the whole room, your own. But you forgot that somewhere along the way, didn't you? And now today, the very identity you built around being everything to everyone is cracking, like an old wineskin that can't hold what God is pouring. Jesus said it himself in Luke 5:37, "New wine must be poured into new wineskins." The old container cannot hold the new season. And right now, God is not just refilling you, He is restructuring you. And restructuring always feels like demolition before it feels like renovation. This is why today feels disorienting. This is why you feel unstructured, unmoored, like you're standing in a room where all the furniture has been moved and you keep reaching for things that aren't where they used to be. This is why being around people feels exhausting in a way you can't fully explain. Because the version of you that used to perform for people, that used to smile on cue, help on command, stay available on demand, that version is stepping back. And the absence of that performance feels strange, almost wrong, almost selfish. But here's what I need you to understand today. It is not selfish, it is sacred. Identity death always feels lonely before it feels liberating. Always feels like loss before it feels like freedom. Always arrives as discomfort before it announces itself as transformation. The shell doesn't crack because it's failing. It cracks because what's inside has finally grown too large to stay hidden. You are not becoming rude. You are becoming honest. You are not becoming cold. You are becoming boundaried. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming internally governed. And that shift right there is one of the most spiritually significant things that can happen to a human being. But here is the warning. And I need you to take this seriously. If you rush today, if you panic at the discomfort and immediately try to rename yourself, redefine yourself, grab a new role, a new identity, a new mission, just to escape the uncomfortable emptiness of not knowing who you are yet. You will carry fragments of the old self into the new chapter, and those fragments will surface later, as patterns, as cycles, as the same emotional exhaustion wearing a different face in a different situation. Don't rush the dissolution. Let God finish what He started. Because Philippians 1-6 doesn't say He started a good work. It says, He who began a good work in you will carry it to completion. That means this process has an architect. This demolition has a blueprint. This discomfort has a destination. If you feel the old you loosening today, type right now, I will not go back. Because going back is always available. The familiar is always one bad day away from feeling necessary again. But going back now would cost you more than you've already paid. And what that cost looks like, what the delay looks like when you override what God is dissolving, is more subtle and more expensive than most people ever realize, which is exactly what we need to talk about next. Let me ask you something honest. How many times have you felt exactly this way before? That quiet pull, that inner knowing, that gentle pressure whispering slow down, something isn't right, and you pushed through anyway. You told yourself you were being too sensitive, too emotional, too old to trust a feeling you couldn't explain with words. And then 3 weeks later, 3 months later, life handed you the same lesson again. Harder this time, louder this time, with consequences you couldn't ignore. That wasn't coincidence, chosen one. That was a whisper that became a siren. Proverbs 1:24 says it plainly. Because I called and you refused to listen, I stretched out my hand and no one paid attention. God does not stop speaking, but He does stop whispering. And here is what nobody tells you about ignoring a divine inner warning. It doesn't punish you immediately. It doesn't strike you down. It doesn't announce itself as consequence. It's far more subtle than that, and far more dangerous. First, the clarity fades. You had a moment of seeing clearly. Something in you knew. And then you overrode it. You stayed in the conversation you should have left. You made the call you felt uneasy about. You pushed past the stillness because stillness felt like laziness. And slowly, quietly, the clarity that was right there dissolved, like morning fog rolling back in after the sun almost broke through. Now your decisions feel harder. Not because the path changed, because you lost the light that was guiding it. Then the old confusion returns. The same emotional cycles you thought you had outgrown start reappearing. The same type of person, the same draining dynamic, the same argument wearing a different face. And you stand there thinking, why does this keep happening to me? I'll tell you why. Because the exit was offered, and you missed it. Not because God is punishing you. Never that. But because when you ignore the off-ramp, the road gets longer. That's not cruelty, that's consequence. Romans 8:28 promises that all things work together for good, but working together requires your cooperation with the moment God places before you. A small crack ignored long enough becomes structural damage. That tension you're dismissing today, that heaviness you're calling a mood, that withdrawal your soul is asking for that you keep talking yourself out of, those are not emotional glitches, chosen one. Those are load-bearing warnings. And here is where I need to stop and ask you something directly. When was the last time life had to force you into stillness? A health scare, an unexpected loss, a door that slammed so hard the whole house shook, a relationship that collapsed without warning. And afterward, when the dust settled, you admitted to yourself quietly, I felt that coming. I just didn't stop. How much did that cost you? How many years? How much energy? How many tears cried in private that could have been prevented if you had just honored what your spirit was telling you before the interruption arrived? God tapped the brakes. Life had to slam them. That is the pattern. And March 30th, 2026 is standing between you and that pattern repeating itself one more time. The wrong conversation you have today when your spirit said stay quiet, that plants a seed of confusion that takes months to uproot. The forced decision you make when heaven said wait, that opens a door that takes years to properly close. The energy you pour into something your soul has already released that drains reserves you'll desperately need for what God is actually building. Ecclesiastes 3:1 says, "There is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven." This is not your season to force. This is your season to feel. Because if you ignore what's happening inside you today, the gentle whisper becomes a stronger interruption. The soft nudge becomes a shove. Not because God is angry, but because He is committed to your destiny more than you are to your comfort. He will not let you sleepwalk into the wrong season. But here is where this message turns, because God is not just warning you today. He is activating something in you. What feels like restriction today may be the very beginning of a new authority rising in your life. What feels like God pressing pause may actually be God pressing prepare, because chosen ones are not stopped. They are positioned, and the question is whether you will cooperate with the positioning now, gently, gracefully, with your full awareness, or whether you'll need a harder moment to teach you what today is trying to offer freely. If you have ignored inner warnings before, if you know exactly what I'm describing because you've lived it, type right now, "This time I will listen." Because here is the truth that should follow you into the rest of this message. Ignore a quiet warning long enough, and life has to say the same thing louder. But the chosen ones who pause today, who honor the stillness, who protect what heaven is forming inside them right now, they don't just avoid the harder lesson. They step into something God has been holding back, waiting for exactly this moment of surrender. And what He's been holding back for you, that is what we need to talk about next. Now I need you to hear this next part carefully, because everything I've told you so far, the heaviness, the silence, the pulling back, the emotional distance, I know some of you are sitting there thinking this is only loss. You're thinking something is being taken from you. But chosen one, I need to correct that right now. Nothing is being stolen. Something is being born. And what is being born in you today is more powerful than anything the world ever applauded you for. Let me ask you something honest, something that might shake you a little. When was the last time you felt completely at peace without needing anyone's approval to feel it? When was the last time you made a decision and didn't immediately go looking for someone to confirm it was right? When was the last time you held your ground, not because you argued louder, but because something deep and unshakable inside you simply knew? That's what God is building in you right now. Not noise, not performance, not the exhausting version of strength that needs an audience. Inner authority. Proverbs 4:23 says it plainly. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Not your calendar, not your reputation, not your relationships, your heart, your inner world. Because when that becomes settled, everything flowing out of it carries a different weight entirely. And chosen one, that settling is exactly what is happening in you today. You are becoming someone who no longer chases what was never meant to run from you. Think about that for a moment. A lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It stands, it shines. And the ships find their way because of its stillness, not its speed. That is who you are becoming. You are becoming someone whose presence quiets a room before a single word is spoken. Someone whose boundaries don't require shouting because they're built on something sturdier than emotion. Someone who no longer spends energy convincing people of their worth because somewhere deep in the marrow of their bones, they finally know it. That's not arrogance. That's not coldness. That is what the Bible calls walking in the Spirit. Galatians 5:25. If we live in the Spirit, let us also walk in the Spirit. Not run, not chase, not perform, walk. Steady, deliberate, unhurried. And here's what the signs of that authority look like, because I want you to recognize yourself in this. You stop chasing outcomes that were never yours to force. You stop defending yourself to people who were never really listening. You stop over-explaining decisions that came from a place of deep inner knowing. You stop burning energy on arguments that God never assigned you to win. And in place of all that noise, clarity arrives, calm settles in, discernment sharpens. Your boundaries become cleaner, not harsher, cleaner. And the people and opportunities that are genuinely meant for your life, they start responding to you differently. Not because you changed your strategy, because you changed your frequency. A rooted tree doesn't argue with the wind. It doesn't beg the storm to stop. It doesn't chase sunlight. It simply stands, and the roots hold what the eyes cannot see. Chosen one, you are that tree. And everything that felt like it was being stripped away this season, every relationship that grew distant, every plan that stalled, every door that closed without explanation that wasn't punishment, that was God removing everything that was feeding off your roots without feeding your purpose. Now, let me say something that might be the most important thing you hear all day. You are not losing your fire. Say that again slowly in your own spirit. You are not losing your fire. What you are losing is your compulsion. The compulsion to prove yourself. The compulsion to be understood by everyone. The compulsion to stay in rooms that were slowly draining the life out of you. And what remains when compulsion is finally gone is not emptiness. What remains is authority. Not the authority that commands a room by force. The authority that commands a room by presence. The kind that King Solomon described when he wrote in Ecclesiastes that there is a time for everything, a time to speak and a time to be silent. And the wisest among us know the difference not by calculation, but by the quiet inner knowing that God himself places in those he has chosen and prepared. You are in that preparation right now. You are in the sacred space between who you were and who God has already written you to become. And it is holy ground. If you receive what I'm telling you, if something in your spirit just exhaled for the first time today, I want you to write it right now in the comments. I honor what God is awakening in my... Because recognition is not enough. Today needs a response. Your acknowledgement is your agreement with heaven. And in the next section, I'm going to show you exactly what to do before this day ends, so that this warning doesn't just move you emotionally, so that it becomes a turning point. Because feeling this is one thing, but responding to it correctly before the day closes, that is what separates the chosen ones who step into their next season from the ones who almost did. Don't close this. What comes next is the part that changes everything. You've been carrying something all day, and you've been carrying it alone, quietly, without complaint, without explanation, the way only the truly chosen learn to carry things with a straight back and a heavy heart. But I need to ask you something direct right now. How long are you going to keep pushing through what God is trying to slow you down for? Because here's what nobody tells you about spiritual warnings. They don't come wrapped in thunder. They don't arrive with a voice from the sky. Most of the time, a warning from heaven feels exactly like what you've been feeling today. That quiet pull, that unexplainable weight, that stillness your mind keeps trying to override. Proverbs 20:5 says it plainly. The purposes of a person's heart are deep waters, but one who has insight draws them out. You have insight. You have always had it. But insight requires stillness to surface. And stillness requires courage, especially when the world keeps pushing you to move, decide, respond, produce. Today, God is not pushing you, He is pausing you. And what you do with this pause before the sun goes down on March 30th could determine the direction of the chapter that is trying to begin in your life. So here are 5 things heaven is asking of you today. First, pause before reacting. Do not send that text. Do not make that call. Do not explain yourself to anyone who has not earned the right to hold what you're carrying. Not today. The watchman on the wall didn't run down to fight every shadow he saw. He watched first. He discerned first. He moved only when the signal was clear. You are the watchman of your own life. Watch before you move. Second, name what feels heavy. Not everything needs a solution. Some things need honest recognition. Sit down, put your hand on your chest, and ask yourself one honest question. What am I actually feeling beneath all this noise? Not what you think you should feel, not what looks acceptable, what is real, because God cannot heal what you refuse to name, and He cannot guide you through a door you won't admit is in front of you. Luke 8:17 reminds us, there is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed, not to condemn you, to free you. Name it, even if only to yourself, even if only to Him. Third, protect your peace without apology. Chosen one, quiet is not weakness. Silence is not abandonment. Sometimes the most obedient thing you can do is close a door, sit in a room alone, and let heaven work without interruption. Think of it like cleaning a window before sunrise. You don't force the light in. You simply remove what's blocking it. Your peace is that window. And right now, every unnecessary conversation, every forced decision, every performance of normalcy is smudging the glass. Protect it, without guilt, without explanation. Fourth, refuse false urgency. This one will challenge you because it's subtle. Not every pressure you feel today is from God. Some of it is from fear, dressed up as responsibility. Some of it is from old wounds telling you to fix things before they break, even when nothing is actually breaking. Isaiah 28:16 cuts through it all. Whoever believes will not act in haste. Say that again, slowly in your spirit. Whoever believes will not act in haste. The enemy's favorite tool against the chosen is artificial urgency. He knows if he can rush you, he can ruin what God is carefully arranging. Not every deadline is divine. Not every pressure is a calling. Test the spirit behind the urgency before you move 1 inch. Fifth, pray for clean discernment. Not a long prayer, not a complicated one, just an honest one. Place your hand on your chest right now. Take 1 full minute of stillness and whisper these words, Lord, show me what my spirit already knows. Ask Him to separate fear from truth, memory from warning, the noise of old pain from the genuine voice of the Holy Spirit, because right now those lines may be blurred inside you, and only God can draw them clean again. Psalm 139:23 is your prayer today. Search me, God, and know my heart. Not performance, not pretending, just permission. Give Him permission to show you what this day is really about. If this message has found you at exactly the right moment, and I believe it has, go to the comments right now and type, Lord, sharpen my discernment. That declaration is not just a comment, it is a covenant. It is you telling heaven, I am paying attention. I will not sleepwalk through this warning. I will not trade my destiny for the comfort of moving too fast. And if this word has spoken to someone you love, someone who has been struggling quietly, carrying things they haven't said out loud, share this with them before this day ends. You may not know how much they need it, but God does. Because some of the most important moves in your life will not begin with action. They will begin with an honest pause. And before we close, there is one final revelation that the chosen ones in this room need to hear. Because this warning is not only about today, it is about the chapter that is trying to begin. Let me ask you something nobody else has asked you today. What if you've been grieving something that was never taken from you, but released by God, so He could replace it with something greater? What if the heaviness you woke up with this morning wasn't a sign that something is wrong, but the first tremor of something holy beginning to move? Because here is the truth that changed everything for me, and it will change everything for you if you receive it right now. God repositions before He reveals. Every single time, without exception. He moves the furniture before the guests arrive. He reroutes the river underground before it ever appears on the surface. He loosens winter's grip in the soil, weeks before a single flower dares to push through. And right now, on this March 30th, 2026, he is doing exactly that. In you, through you, around you. That emotional distance you've been feeling, that's not depression. That's detachment from a season that has already ended in the spirit, even though your eyes haven't caught up yet. The things that feel heavier today, they feel heavy because they no longer belong to the road you're being moved toward. You're not meant to carry them into your next chapter. And your soul already knows it. That silence that felt necessary, heaven was protecting your frequency. Because God doesn't shout his new directions over the noise of your old conclusions. He whispers. And he waits for you to go quiet enough to hear. Now, I need to speak directly to someone watching this right now. You. The one who has lived enough years to know what loss feels like. The one who has buried dreams, buried seasons, maybe buried people you loved. The one the world has quietly started to overlook, as if your story has already been told. I need you to hear this with everything in you. You are not too old for a new chapter. You are not too late for repositioning. You are not standing at the end of your story. You are standing at the turning of a page that God himself is about to write. Moses was 80 years old when God stopped him at a burning bush in the middle of a desert and said, "I'm not finished with you yet." 80 years old. His best chapter hadn't even started. Anna was 84, a widow, spending her final years in the temple, and God chose her to be the first voice to proclaim the arrival of the Messiah. Not a young prophet, not a powerful priest. A quiet, weathered, faithful woman who never stopped showing up. Caleb was 85 when he looked at a mountain no one else dared to climb and said, "Give me this mountain." Joshua 14:12, still fierce, still expectant, still chosen. Abraham and Sarah received their promise when every biological clock on earth had stopped ticking. And God laughed not at them, but at the very idea that his timing could be limited by human seasons. Chosen one, if God could write new beginnings over their lives, what makes you think he is finished writing yours? The warning that came softly today wasn't about catastrophe. The muted emotions, the unusual stillness, the quiet pull to withdraw, none of it was random, none of it was weakness. It was heaven clearing space. Like a dawn that doesn't ask permission from the darkness, your new chapter is not waiting for your circumstances to cooperate. It is not waiting for your doubt to disappear. It is not waiting for your body to feel younger, or your bank account to feel safer, or your family to finally understand you. It has already begun, in the spirit, right now. And this is the moment, this is the revelation I need you to hold with both hands. What if the warning today was never that something bad was coming? What if the warning was that something holy is trying to begin, and your old reflexes could make you miss it? Your old reflex to force when God says, "Be still." Your old reflex to speak when God says, "Protect your words." Your old reflex to return to familiar ground when God has already released that ground from your assignment. That is what March 30th is protecting you from. Not disaster, not failure, not punishment. Missing the beginning of something sacred because you were too busy grieving what God already finished. The old emotional charge is weakening today. That's not emptiness moving in. That's space being created. And space, in the economy of heaven, is never wasted. It is always filled with something better, something truer, something God has been preparing while you were enduring what was necessary to get here. What leaves is not always loss. What feels uncertain is not always wrong. What feels like an ending, chosen one, is often the holiest form of beginning there is. Declare it right now. Type it. Say it out loud if you have to. I will not fear this transition. Because what God is repositioning you toward requires a version of you that has released the weight, honored the silence, and trusted the process, even when the process felt like falling. You haven't been falling. You've been being placed. And now the question isn't whether God is moving in your life today. The question is, what are you about to do next that could interrupt it? Chosen one, we have walked through something sacred together today. And before you close this out, before you set down your phone or step away from this screen, I need you to stay with me for just these final moments. Because what I'm about to speak over your life is not a conclusion. It is a commissioning. There is a difference between hearing a message and being marked by one. Today, you were not just listening. Something inside you was being sealed. And I need you to receive that seal completely before you walk back into the noise of the world. Because the enemy's first move, the moment this video ends, will be to make you forget what you felt in the first 60 seconds. He will hand you a distraction. He will send an urgent text. He will manufacture a reason to rush. And if you let him, he will take what God just deposited in you and scatter it like seed on concrete. Do not let him. Proverbs 4:23 says it plainly. Guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Not some things, everything. So guard what happened in you today. Guard it like it cost you something, because it did. It cost you stillness in a world addicted to speed. It cost you quiet in a generation drowning in noise. That is not a small thing. That is an act of spiritual courage. Now hear me clearly, chosen one. Do not betray what you sense today. Do not run back to noise because silence made you feel too much. Do not call confusion what God is actually clarifying. Do not return to overgiving, over-explaining, and over-performing just to feel safe again. That season is finished. And you already know it. Trust the shift. Protect the sacred discomfort. Honor the signal. Let this day, March 30th, 2026, become a marker in your life. The day you stopped running from the quiet. The day you listened before life had to force you to stop. A lamp must be trimmed before the dark hour arrives. And God is trimming you right now, not to diminish your light, but to make it burn cleaner, steadier, and longer for what is coming ahead. You are standing at a threshold, chosen one. And the only way to cross it with grace is to not look back. Now let me pray over you. Father God, in the name of Jesus Christ, I come before your throne right now on behalf of every chosen one who honored this moment, every elder, every seasoned soul, every man and woman who has carried more than most people will ever know. Lord, pour discernment over them like oil. Let them hear your voice clearly above every competing sound. Grant them emotional steadiness, not numbness, but anchored calm, the kind that doesn't shake when circumstances scream. Give them clean boundaries, Father, the courage to say no to what drains them and yes to what you've assigned them. Release them from old timelines that no longer carry their future. Every expectation, every obligation, every identity that belongs to yesterday, cut it loose, Lord. Grant them peace in silence. Let the quiet stop feeling like abandonment and start feeling like preparation. Give them courage to obey the inner warning, even when everyone around them says, push forward. Give them clarity, not all at once, but enough for the next step. That's all they need, just enough light for the next step. And Father, protect them from false urgency, the kind that masquerades as responsibility, but is really just fear wearing a productive mask. Protect their transition, strengthen their confidence, and remind them, Lord, remind them today that you have never once started something in a person's life that you did not intend to finish. In Jesus' name, Amen. Chosen one, I want to look you in the eye through this screen right now and tell you something your soul needs to hear. You are not behind. You are not forgotten. You are not too old, too tired, or too far past the window for God to move in your life. You are being prepared. And preparation always feels like waiting to people who don't know what's coming. But you felt something today. You felt it before this video even reached the first minute. That feeling was not an accident. That was heaven marking you. That was the God of the universe, the one who counts the hairs on your head, pressing his hand gently into your day and saying, "Pay attention, I'm working. Don't miss this, so don't miss it." If this message found you on the right day, type right now, "I will listen and obey." Let heaven record that declaration. Let your own hands make a covenant with what your spirit already knows. Share this with someone who has been feeling something they cannot explain. Someone who woke up this morning already carrying weight they didn't know how to name. They need this word today just as much as you did. And if you are part of this remnant, this quiet, chosen, unshakable remnant that refuses to ignore the still small voice of God, subscribe, stay connected. Because what God is releasing in this season is not a single message, it is a movement, and you are already in it. Chosen One, March 30th, is not the day to panic. It is the day to pay attention. What you feel is not there to torment you, it is there to guide you. And if you honor it, this quiet warning may become the doorway to your next chapter.